So I thought I'd just come and have a little chat. I'm not sure if I'm going to go out and skate or not yet. It's actually in the daytime. I just lowered my blinds because I just had a fight with a wasp. There is a huge, huge wasp that just came into my bedroom, and I was about to get up and kill it. And then it went on my skates, it went on my nobles first. I was just like, oh, what do I do? Stop it. It's trying to sting my skin. Stop rubbing your butt on my skates. Go to the window and go out, or go somewhere flat so I can squish you. You are a motherfucker. Go back from whence you came, you demon. And I didn't want any more to come in, so I've just pulled the blinds down and put lamps on. I've had a bit of a crappy week mentally this week. It started off pretty rough. I can't explain why. I just felt really anxious a lot of the time, and kind of like something bad was going to happen. And then on Wednesday, my brother called me with good news for him. But yeah, he's basically moving away. He doesn't live where I live, but he'll be moving closer to my mum and my brother, who shun me and pretty much hate my guts. And although he doesn't agree with what they believe in, all the abuse that I went through from them they tell a lot of lies about me because they don't want to admit what happened. I mean, they do admit what happened, they just don't want to admit it's wrong because they were told by their stupid cult that that's what they had to do. So to them it's not wrong, even though it's like literally would be a crime. So it kind of threw me through a loop, because I just kept thinking, like, my nephews are going to be around, my Jehovah's Witness nephews, and they will undoubtedly have been told about how evil and wicked I am. And so that means my good nephews, well, not the other nephews are bad, but the nephews that are normal are going to be interacting with my nephews that are brainwashed a lot. And I just worry that it's going to affect their opinion of me, because they're going to have so much more influence from them. It is nice because it means that we can go on holiday to visit my brother there, because he'll be working at a holiday camp. But apparently I don't have to see my other family, which is fine because they don't want to see me. Like, it's not my choice. It's really annoying that people kind of like to say, like, you know, you don't have to do this, you don't have to see me. It's like, I know they won't see me. Like, it's not my choice. I'm not shunning them, they're shunning me. It's the other way around. And I don't know, I feel so alone and so abandoned. And like, all my family, like, the family who's done me wrong, they haven't lost anything. They gave up on me, and then they get to keep everything, and I've lost my whole family. That kind of threw me through a loop. And then yesterday I was watching through Louis Theroux documentaries, and I found a couple that I hadn't actually seen. And one was about mums on the edge. And I don't like to talk a lot about this issue that much, even with Jared, because it's kind of, I feel kind of shameful for feeling that way. But there was one mum on there in particular that I really related to her. She said, and her husband said, like, when she started being a mum at the beginning, she was like a super mum. He like said it's like cringe. And that's kind of how I was when I first became a mum. I was really on it. I was on my A game. And my first experience with Rue, having her now, there was some issues, but it wasn't that traumatizing at all. The problem came in, like, after I had Rue, I started thinking about the way my mum had treated me, and that kind of started setting the balls rolling for all the walls I'd put up for all these years that protected me from the trauma in my life. It started crumbling them down a little bit, and I started asking questions to my mum at that point. And then when I had Mitzi, I was when I was pregnant with Mitzi, because the first thing that came up, and this is something that's been bothering me a lot lately as well, I think it's played a big part on why I was feeling shit at the beginning of the week, because I've watched a lot of documentaries lately about how, like, Black people are affected worse, like either by COVID and the one that really got to me was the one about maternal mortality. among Black women and women of colour. And for a long time, I had my suspicions about my pregnancy with Mitzi, because we were trying to have another July baby with Mitzi, but TMI, but like when I come off my pill, Jared was like, you won't get pregnant like straight away. You just come off the pill, you'll be fine. And I was like, no. And you know how it goes. And the end, I like kind of caved and was like, okay, we'll do it one time. We did it one time. And then like, I was like, no more. We're going to wait for October. We want to have a July baby. And so we didn't do anything. But then I started feeling like I was pregnant. Like really feeling like I was pregnant. And I kept taking these pregnancy tests and they'd all come back negative. And so I started going to the doctors and saying, look, I know I'm pregnant. I'm late. And I just know I'm pregnant. And they took tests for like, I think like a week. And like, I keep going back there, doing more tests, because they kind of believed that I thought I was pregnant, but my tests were coming up negative. And then eventually one day I took a test at home and it came up positive. So I went to the doctors and everything. And I said, I only had sex on one day, so I know exactly when I felt pregnant, but I don't know why my tests have been coming up negative. I have since found out there's like I'm not sure what it's called, but there's this thing with the blastocyst when you first have your egg fertilized, that it can duplicate slower. So therefore your HTC levels aren't high enough to pick up on a pregnancy test straight away, but you are still pregnant. It's just the blastocyst is forming slower. And so I believe that's what happened with me, because there's literally no other explanation, because I had sex one time. But the doctors were convinced I was due like a good 3 weeks after I said that I would be due from when I would have conceived. And they just never believed me. They literally said, well, we've got this little cardboard thing here and we spun the date on it and it comes out with this date. So that's when you're due. And I'm like, but I know I was pregnant before then. And because I only had 6 months, but they never believed me. And it kind of always hung in my head. Like, do they think I cheated on Jared and like, they think I don't want to fess up? Is that what they think? Like, and as time's gone on and you think about all the stereotypes I have about Black women, we're promiscuous, we lie, things like that. So it's, as time's gone on, it makes me feel even more convinced that was why they never believed my due date. Another thing that happened during my pregnancy that I found really tough was my mum was only really interested in Miharu. And one time, TMI again, I was on the toilet, I was pregnant and I couldn't get off, and I heard Rue crying from the living room, and I couldn't get to her, and I was asking her to come to me, but she wouldn't come. And then she like made a big wail, so I kind of like jumped off the toilet, and as I ran to the living room to where she was, I slipped and kind of did the splits. And bear in mind, I was about 6 months pregnant at the time with Mitzi. And when I got in there, it was nothing. She couldn't like open a toy or something. But the fall had really, really scared me. And I managed to put Rue down for a nap and stuff like that. And I called my mum and said, Mum, I'm really shook. Can you come round and like just be with me for a little bit? Because I fell over and I'm hurting and I'm scared and this is all really stressful. And she was like, and bear in mind, she lived like 5 minutes down the road. And she's like, give me a call when Rue wakes up and I'll come round. I was like, yeah, but Mum, I'd really like you to come round while Rue's not awake, just so it can be just like me and you, so I can just like unload a little bit. And she's like, no, I'll come round when Rue wakes up. And I was like, Mum, I could really do with you. Like, and she's like, well, when I was pregnant, my mum never came round. And I was like, and did you like that? Did you like that nanny never supported you like that when you were pregnant? And she didn't like it, but she felt it was fine for her. It like didn't really do her any harm, so it would be fine for me too. So then when we woke up, I didn't call her. I didn't want her to come round at that point. She didn't want to be there for me, and that was really sad for me. And then anyway, where was I? And then I had like this, I can't remember what it's called, where like your hips or whatever misalign and everything hurts, like everything really hurts. And I was saying, like, the whole time from my pregnancy with Mitzi, I was saying that my due date is wrong. Like every time I go to the doctors, they'd say, so your due date is this. So I'd say, you say it's that, I say it's 3 weeks sooner, like at the end of April. And they never ever listened. Never ever. And then there was one point when they thought that Mitzi would be growing too small because Rue was a tiny baby, even though all the signs and the scans that showed that Mitzi wasn't too small. If anything, she was slightly on the larger side, which kind of coincided with what I was saying, that I was further along than they thought. But because of this, they wanted to put me on some kind of special checkup thing every week or so or something. And there was something else I was meant to go to. So I would go to this one like every week. And then one day they're like, you've been missing your appointments. You haven't been going to appointments for this other thing to check on her growth. And I'm like, I thought that's what this was. And they're like, no. They're like, no, you've got this whole other thing you meant to be going to, but you haven't gone to any appointments. I was like, I haven't been given any appointments. And they're like, oh, well, I mean, you're only 2 weeks from your due date. So by this point in my mind, I'm due anyway by my dates. And they're like, well, it don't matter. She seems fine. Like the lack of care really annoyed me. But anyway, the next thing that was traumatic during my pregnancy was my labor. I had a home birth and I was having a water birth. And where I live, I don't know if you've seen from my skating videos, there's this load of hedges before you can get to the road where the cars are. So the midwives were coming down with the gas and air. That's the only pain relief I had, was this gas and air. And that's all I wanted, so that's fine. But they'd bring down half tanks and I'd like have like 3 or 4 puffs on it and it would go like making this horrible noise, and I'd know it's drained. I'm like, I'm in pain, get me more. So they'd have to go out and go fetch another tank from the car and bring it all the way back. So all that time I'm having contractions and not have any pain relief, completely natural. And they bring me another half tank. This happened like 3 or 4 times. And I'm like, why do they keep running out? This didn't happen when I had Rue. And they're like, oh, it's because we're just using up the rest of the tanks we've been using with other ladies with you. So we're just finishing off these cans. And it's like, okay, but can you bring me a full one, please? Because I can't do this anymore. I was like, just get me a fucking tank that's full. Like, I literally said that to them at one point because I couldn't deal with this. Like, it was too much. They kept bringing me in. It was half tanks. And I'd have to wait all this time. And that, as I've watch more of these documentaries and stuff like that, it goes with that they think black people have higher pain tolerance and they don't listen when we say we're in pain and they don't treat us well enough. And then when I think that I was overdue, because I was overdue a lot. When Mitzi came out, she came out and all her skin was peeling off. It was just everywhere there was a crease, and babies are really creasy. It was all peeling off, and they did say to me, like, she's overcooked. That's like the words they said. She's overcooked. Not sure by how much, but probably pretty bad because the amount of skin peeling that's happening. Because basically all that fur and stuff that babies have to keep them protected, that had all gone away, because that's meant to go away once they're born within the first couple of weeks. But she was still in my tummy at that time, so that had all worn away, and she had no protection against her skin from all the liquid, so she was peely. And then when I went to go register and stuff like that, go doctors for checkup and thing, they said she looks about 3 weeks overdue. And they just said sorry. Like, there was no official thing about it. They didn't say, sorry, we didn't believe you. Because I was saying, I told you I was due before then. Oh. And when I think about it, 3 weeks overdue is so dangerous. If you go 2 weeks overdue and you refuse to have your baby, which they really try not to let you go overdue, and I wasn't refusing. I wanted this baby out of me. I couldn't move. Jared was saying that in my sleep, if I just twitched a little bit to try and move, I would just scream out in pain because I was immobilized by the last month of my pregnancy. And this makes me feel so scared that, like, me and her could have died from that. And they've really had no accountability for what they did to me and how they treated me like that. And so when I was watching this documentary with Louis Theroux, there was this woman who said that she was like this super mum. Her husband's such a super mum. She was on it. And then she had this other child. And then she just went out one day after kind of abruptly quitting breastfeeding. And she came out the cinema and she just called her husband and said, I can't deal with the kids. I can't do this anymore. And for like the last year and a half, I've kind of felt that way. I've gone from being a really active, attentive, on the ball mum, and like, as my mental health has deteriorated over, because literally since I had Mitzi, that was the point when all my defenses for all these years broke down. I just completely shattered, and then my family abandoned me and started shunning me, and I've just had to deal with all this trauma that I've never dealt with all at the same time. And I've just kind of got to the point where I've just kind of checked out. Oh God, I feel really ashamed. I still really, like, obviously I love my girls, I care for them a lot. I don't want to be around them a lot on my own. I find them really hard work. I feel like my brain is constantly dealing with shit, and having kids asking you for everything and everything every 2 minutes, I'm having a really hard time dealing with it. And then I was watching this documentary, and so much of what she said, apart from the crazy clowns that she hallucinated, pretty much everything else she said was just like on the money. And for a while I've been thinking maybe I should just be institutionalized, and then watching that I was like, maybe I really should get some like proper help, you know, in a peaceful place where I can kind of just like focus on my mental health. Because that's another thing, I've been asking for mental help for years from the doctors, and they've always fobbed me off. And then I finally started getting some help. They started giving me medication as of last year. And then I thought I was getting therapy, but apparently it was counselling. And now they're like, oh yeah, you really definitely need therapy. And I'm like, I thought I was having that. So now I've got to make more appointments and explain everything again for like the 5th time to another health professional. And so I've been putting that off. I haven't booked any therapy appointments because I thought I was doing that. And it's hard, so I've been having to do it all over the phone because of COVID. And I just see this woman, and she's goes into this place, and they dope her up so much. Like, you see when she gets out of the hospital, and she's just so doped up. She's clearly not how she used to be. And I just felt that's probably what I need, but it's definitely what I don't want. I've just been having a really hard time. And I also really want to skate, but I also ripped my toe again. It never really healed from the last time, and I ripped it again. And I'm like, you know what? I really don't care if it hurts. I just want to skate. Maybe I'll do it anyway and just do it for as long as I can until my toes. But just walking down the stairs, it hurts because it's ripped. Like, if you think of this as my pinky toe, it's ripped here and it's ripped here. So it's kind of like a half decapitated toe in a way. Gross, but that's how it is. And anyway, I didn't expect to talk this long. I just wanted to come on and just kind of let you know I've been having a hard time, and then I've ended up pouring my guts out. So I'm just going to leave it here. I'm really sorry. I need to go and have a cry. Bye.